Think electric cars are saving the planet? Think again. Before we start, I want you to keep one thought in your head. Not an opinion, not a political stance, just a question. If electric cars are really saving the planet, why does the math only work when you stop asking questions halfway through? Because here's the strange thing. The deeper you go into the grid, the mines, the factories, the replacement cycles, the greener the car looks on the outside, the heavier the cost becomes everywhere else. By the end of this video, you're not going to hate electric cars, but you are going to see them differently. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Electric cars didn't just change transportation, they changed the conversation. Owning one stopped being about engineering and started being about morality. One choice became responsible, the other became the problem. And when machines turn into moral symbols, scrutiny becomes taboo. So tonight, we're doing something unfashionable. We're following the electric car all the way back to the beginning, past the showroom, past the charger, past the marketing, to where the real story starts. Reason 1. Zero emissions is a definitional trick. Electric cars are called zero-emission vehicles because they don't emit exhaust. That's a definition, not a conclusion. It only describes what happens after the electricity already exists. Electricity has to be generated somewhere, and today, globally, most of it is still produced by burning fossil fuels. Coal plants don't care that the electricity is charging a car instead of powering a toaster. Gas turbines don't burn cleaner because the energy feels virtuous. So while the tailpipe disappears, the emissions simply move upstream. This is why environmental agencies evaluate life cycle emissions, not bumper stickers. From a systems perspective, EVs don't eliminate emissions. They reassign them geographically. Cleaner streets for some, dirtier skies for others. That distinction matters. Reason 2. The grid does not scale as fast as EV sales. Power grids are slow, conservative systems. They're designed for stability, not sudden change. When millions of EVs are added to a grid, demand doesn't rise gradually. It spikes. Most people charge at night. Most people get home at the same time. That creates a predictable surge, and grids respond the only way they can, by turning on fast, dispatchable power. That usually means fossil fuels. This is why, in multiple regions, EV adoption has extended the operational life of gas and coal plants. Not because anyone wants it, because reliability comes before ideals. An unstable grid doesn't help the environment, it collapses it. Reason 3. EVs start life dirtier than gas cars. This is one of the most consistently verified findings in transportation studies. An electric car produces more emissions during manufacturing than a comparable gas car. The reason is simple. The battery. Battery production requires high-temperature processing, chemical refinement, massive industrial energy input. By the time an EV leaves the factory, it has already generated a substantial carbon footprint. The promise is that it will earn it back during use, but that promise only holds if very specific conditions are met. Conditions real-world driving doesn't always deliver. Reason 4. Lithium. Mining is a water problem, not just a land problem. Lithium mining is often portrayed as clean because it doesn't look like coal mining. But its biggest impact isn't smoke, it's water. Lithium extraction consumes enormous quantities of water, often in regions already suffering from drought. Water tables drop. Soil salinity increases. Agriculture collapses. This isn't hypothetical. Entire communities have documented reduced access to drinkable water after lithium operations expand. Electric cars don't remove environmental strain, they rearrange it. Reason 5. Cobalt is a supply chain nightmare. Cobalt is critical for battery stability and longevity. It is also one of the most problematic materials in modern supply chains. Much of the world's cobalt comes from regions with weak labor enforcement, limited environmental regulation, dangerous extraction methods. Even manufacturers actively trying to reduce cobalt use still rely on it at scale. Supply chains don't become ethical just because the product is marketed as green. They become complicated. Reason 6. Batteries lock in material dependence. Gas cars depend on fuel. EVs depend on materials. Once an EV battery is built, its environmental cost is locked in. You can't drive less to undo mining damage, and scaling EVs globally requires mining volumes that dwarf current extraction rates. This is why material availability, not technology, is increasingly viewed as the limiting factor of EV expansion. Reason 7. Weight is the most ignored form of pollution. Electric cars are heavy, not by accident, by necessity. Battery packs add thousands of pounds, and that weight has consequences beyond energy use. Heavier cars wear tires faster, create more road dust, produce more particulate pollution. This pollution doesn't come from exhaust pipes, it comes from friction, and it goes directly into the air around pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. Silent doesn't mean harmless. Before we go any further, let me say this quickly, and then we'll keep moving. If you're still watching right now, you're clearly not here for surface-level takes. You're here for the long version, the uncomfortable version. If you find value in that, hitting like, sharing this video, or subscribing genuinely helps this channel grow more than you might think. Not because of vanity, but because it tells the algorithm this kind of deep, long-form car content is worth pushing. Alright, back to the story. Reason 8. Battery degradation shortens vehicle life. Batteries age chemically. Capacity loss is inevitable. As range declines, resale value drops, often faster than comparable gas vehicles. When battery replacement costs approach the value of the car, vehicles are scrapped earlier. From an environmental perspective, durability matters. A car that lasts 25 years often beats a cleaner car that lasts 12. Reason 9. Recycling is real, but not ready. Battery recycling exists. It is not yet cheap, scalable, energy efficient. Recovering lithium, nickel, and cobalt requires complex chemical processes that themselves consume energy. Today, recycling capacity lags far behind battery production, which means storage, export, or disposal fills the gap. Reason 10. EV incentives encourage faster turnover. Subsidies accelerate adoption, but they also accelerate replacement cycles. People upgrade sooner, models refresh faster. Perfectly usable vehicles are retired early. Environmentally, this matters. The cleanest vehicle is often the one that doesn't need to be built again. Reason 11. EV benefits are location-dependent. An EV powered by hydroelectric energy performs very differently than one powered by coal. This means the environmental benefit of EVs is not universal. It depends heavily on grid composition, driving patterns, climate. A solution that only works optimally in specific regions isn't a global fix. Reason 12. Resource demand creates future pressure. Global EV adoption requires exponential increases in material extraction. Even optimistic projections show tight supply constraints. This means higher prices, more environmental stress, and increased geopolitical tension. Physics and geology don't bend to policy goals. Reason 13. EVs fix the engine, not the system. Electric cars change how cars are powered. They do not change urban sprawl, car dependency, long commutes, infrastructure inefficiency. They improve a component, not the design, which limits how much impact they can ever realistically have. Electric cars aren't villains, they're tools. And like any tool, their impact depends on how and why we use them. There is no free energy, no free horsepower, no free environmental win, only trade-offs. Electric cars can reduce emissions, they can improve air quality, they can play a role in the future, but they are not a shortcut, and they are not the full answer. Real progress doesn't come from slogans. It comes from cleaner grids, lighter vehicles, smarter cities, and better systems. Electric cars may belong in that future, but believing they're saving the planet all by themselves? That's not science, that's comfort. And if you appreciate content that slows down, asks harder questions, and actually follows the machine all the way back to its source, liking the video, sharing it, and subscribing really does help this channel grow and keep making work like this. No hype, no noise, just more conversations like this one.